I have a little thing coming through about expectations and relationships and time and planning and the ways we all might be moving through this ascension and how it's affecting us differently. Because obviously for a while, many of us have seen this sort of dual world split from either various belief systems or just a lot of us really listening to the higher call of the best self, higher self, a future lived timeline that's feeding through information through to us at the minute as we connect to the energies of the 5D. However, that's landing in our physical bodies, physical realities, and spiritual bodies as well. And I think a lot of things are changing in our worlds as we become more aware of toxicities and codependent relationships and things that we want to root ourselves in, and obviously anchoring in a love vibration. We can't always get that perfect, but I think the ways that we can observe what's coming in for us now from higher self, because we are downloading a lot of information. The crown, I mean, a lot of people might be having more headaches than usual because there's a lot of things that are coming through from other timelines that can benefit us now. But if we're not maintaining our own personal vibration and keeping ourselves in our own energy, and I'm not saying don't have relationships with other people and that sort of connections and in community, because that's important, that's healthy, and we all need support, but to not get lost in any sort of dynamic or the duality of another person, or needing the validation, or needing to have somebody else witness you or have the validation for things that are going on right now. Because a lot of us have had a very, very intense April, a very, very intense 2024, and are really rooting ourselves in the purpose that we are being guided by, and messages from higher self, because that has already been a lived timeline, and which is why where the dreamers are operating at the minute is that we're getting a lot of things come through, and so it can imbalance us and make us feel sick and nauseous if we're not honouring that mission, if we're not honouring the true calling. And so this word calling will mean a variety of things to different people. Some might call it a mission, a calling, higher self, best self, I don't know, lots of different things. Again, this is just words, and I've just woken up, so it's been quite an intense dreamscape last night. I'm being called to share, and I think for me, in terms of, and I can only speak from my lived experiences, and have been called 333 on the clock to share this path of an awakening of a wild, divine feminine. We don't always get it perfect, and obviously the masculine is definitely harnessed within the daily reality and in the decisions that we make, because that is the organisation and the structure and the drive and the authoritative voice, which is needed when we come from a place of sensitive, empathic existence, where people have taken our kindness for weakness and boundaries may have been a bit slack. And so as a lot of us, and I see and witness people around me, like, root ourselves in this individual purpose, individual mission, individual identity, because we're not getting lost in the duality of other relationships outside our personal relationship to self and source energy, like the highest energy that we can connect with, the true relationship of many say the only relationship that truly matters, because it's the one that's guiding us to our best self, our best path. And a lot of us are now really, like, reviewing our life excuse me, reviewing, purging, battling with those around us or internally, or having things that are trying to block our true voice, our authentic expression, our creative expression, because we're wasting sacral energy, because we are investing in things that are not really good for us, and that is depleting us at an energetic level, because we're trying to be satisfied at a physical existence, not at a soul level. And so this then connects to celibacy and, semen retention for men and various other practices, which short-term, long-term, short-term, long-term, this will be an individual choice. And some of us will be able to go for a certain amount of time, connecting with people that are on a 5-year, 7-year mission, but it's very hard. And having already done 1 year of celibacy and into my 11th month now of no sex, I think how I'm moving through it is because there's a lot of activations for the divine feminine at the minute, and rooting into this wild woman, this shamanic existence of fully surrendering. And so back to the original sort of download of why I'm talking now is planning and time and external output. It's just not going to be able to happen all the time when we fully surrender to the mission and we are in support or in service, and however that happens, or wherever we get pulled. We can get a call in the rising at the start of the day, and then by the end of the night something else has happened and shifted, and we've leveled up in our own purpose, in our own self-reflection, in our own service. And so time and planning, this is where some of the friction and resistance might come from those around us when we're living different timelines and different purposes, which is all okay. But things won't be in alignment when others have expectations of planning and this, that and the other, because the surrendering right now is the only thing that's leading to me, and the trust and the faith in the higher powers in the Most High, because that's where I'm getting the magic. And it is all part of the reality creation, that if we allow ourselves to pull back, think 757 independently, without the voices, without the energy of another, which if we are highly empathic, highly sensitive, there's a minority in the world of souls who are deeply, deeply, deeply sensitive and empathic. Having alone time and stepping away from the matrix society, from group think and from familial units and things, is really the only way we can truly identify what our personal needs are and connect with the mission or the sacred self, because we have an energetic connection or a psychic connection to too many people. And so the revelations come when we move into the pain of isolation. And I'm not saying this as a point, oh, you must go and isolate. No, everybody gets, it can start with a meditation retreat or a silent, dark room in the garden or whatever, however we get called. But once we start the spiritual awakening, which is happening for so many people right now, in maybe a more of sped up pace, because that is the energy right now. And so I give thanks for all the shit, the triple slap that happened to me 4 years ago, because I've had the past 4 years to move into the current energies in 2024, which is intense. And my empathy goes out to many, many people who are trying to scramble at which way to go right now, and it is okay. We just have to really come back to nature and ground and be calm and collected in our thoughts and write and get our codes or dance or flow somatic release out, so that we can really hear what's coming through from the higher self right now, so that we can really, really listen to our personal guided missions, because our higher self wants us to win. We've already won, but that will manifest in the physical realm in a very different way to how we've ever seen it before. And so in terms of what other people might feel as a letdown or non-committal and all of that, is like, it doesn't mean we're not dedicated and loyal people, but we're loyal to the mission. You know, I don't know if I shared it in the end, because there's a lot of videos that I sort of do and then have to define if it's ego or spirit-led, and things that are not ready to be revealed. Not, I can't share before the time is ripe. And so one of them was, it's gone. Clearly, it must be a nut. It's very strange, isn't it? This is like the second time I'm trying to mention it, and it's not coming out. Whether that's from the highest good or whether that's other energies that are getting into the mix, because I had a very interesting dreamscape. So 1118. But oh yeah, it's about commitment and loyalty and dedication. Is that we don't actually live for ourselves. We're at this level of the path, however level, high, low, it's not in comparison. It's just only where we've been before, and can only compare it to our own personal lived experiences on the physical realm. Is that we don't live for ourselves anymore. Like, yes, we have to nourish ourselves and make ourselves comfortable in some ways, and healthy and looked after and protected, and we are the only ones that can really do that, because we can't expect other people to look after us or protect us. Like, we have to really, really find the warrior within, whether that comes through past life connection, which has obviously happened to me, as I've shared, and this shamanic awakening has brought many, many visions like back to me from lived experiences of the 70s in New York, and the 20s, the 30s, the 40s as a go-go dancer, and various things in the Caribbean and Africa. Just very, very, very strange, beautiful, painful, loving, but very strange, repeated memories and visions that I have still today. And so the loyalty and the commitment is to the self, is to being in service, is to where spirit is being in service to spirit. That's where the commitment is. And so it being like the 3rd of May on our earth right now, that doesn't really mean anything to the higher energies. It's playing out as it's playing out according to the timeline and prophecy and the future, the manifestations that we have been working on in a sacred and private way for however long. And as it's the 3rd of May today, a lot of people might be getting ear ringing and a lot of download, a lot of kind of quite intense stuff at the minute. And usually, 1333 on the clock, I will have to post this today because they're asking me to, but I don't usually post on the day that I record anymore, just because of external energies and people sort of studying behaviour and stuff, because anyway. And so it being the 3rd of May, it's not like we have any idea what's happening in August. You know, back in the day where I was in January, I would make a decision of like, okay, I'm thinking of going here in December. And then from January to June, I'd save up for my flight. Could be between 400, 800 British pounds. Then I'd book it. And then I'd wait another 6 months, save up for the spending and the accommodation and various things. And that was obviously my life back in the day of a Monday 9 to 5. And so that is how I lived at one point in time on my journey. That's changed very, very much. More in alignment to where I am meant to go and in my purpose. And other people will be on timelines still in the corporate space. And this is not a negative or a positive or a judgment thing. We all have a choice of where we choose to be right now and who we want to be surrounded by. And so if we're unable to make the decisions for ourselves because we're not empowering ourselves, because we're not finding the self-love, because we're in narcissistic relationships, or we're accepting a behaviour from others that is less than what we deserve, which is pure love and respect, always. And when people start to push us, then they see a different side of us. Viper, don't know why that's coming up now, 1515, but the surrendering and me as a divine feminine, rooting and trying to live and learn that energy of fully surrendering, because as I think I either said on this or before when I tried to speak for 5 minutes and hadn't pressed the record button, is that you'd get a call in the start of the day and the rising, and then by the end of the day, the whole day life path has changed. And I don't want to miss out on that magic. And so love helps me in that vibration, and we can't really feel anything lower in the sort of comparatives and the jealousies and the thing which I do feel from other people. I feel many, many good things and lots of love, but I find it interesting how relationship dynamics change over the time when one roots themselves more in the purpose and in love, because it does irk other people's demons. Now, demons do exist, and they are manifesting in people's physical vessels and emotional and spiritual bodies in very strange, unique ways at the minute. Some will be subtle, some will be more vicious, and we really need to be cleansing and maintaining health as much as possible right now, because, as I said, even simply the spirit of greed, mammon, like, can come through, and people will overeat, or the spirit of jealousy. These are entities and energies that come through that can be banished from the physical, like just our own spiritual field. Because if they're not, they manifest in very strange ways, and then they can then start fucking up our lives and fucking up relationships. And this is not to blame the spirit of mammon, whatever. This is also to anchor into a belief that our physical existence is determined and influenced massively by what goes on in the spirit, which is why now a lot of people who have got a very, very big platform and are sharing wonderful things about, no farmers, no food, and various other things right now to support the people that are awakening. But they don't necessarily have a heart. Well, they're very connected spiritually, even if they don't acknowledge it, because they've got a massive platform, they've got a voice, so they've been given a voice by the Most High to support a particular community or audience, up to 150,000 followers and things like that, or subscribers on YouTube, but are questioning what spiritual and psychological warfare means right now. Spiritual warfare has gone on as long as time has existed, because spirituality, the spirit realm, is a whole realm, and not everybody is prepared for the chaos that exists 1818 on that level, or is aware of how much is going on right now, or has been going on. And then that manifests in the physical. So the spiritual warfare will come into families and try to break up families, and this is why a lot of very sensitive, highly empathic, amazing souls that I'm very, very grateful that I'm in a position where I don't chat to people really when I go out unless spoken to, or unless I have downloads, and people approach me and tell me their story, and it's so humbling, and it's kind of, people crying with me just out of the blue. I've never met them before, and just sharing tender self-observations in like with me, as we both experience ascension and love vibration, because a loving soul can recognize another loving soul. And I trust that narcissism will decrease and not impact the conscious souls, those awakening to self-empowerment, self-love right now, and to not be led by codependent tendencies and needs. A lot of us, like, we all still have certain things from the 3D realm and like versions of ourselves that might linger or will come up for readdressing. But if we know it's not us, then we just need to make sure that we are rooted in our own personal vibration right now, because the expectations of others will never be satisfied because that person is not fulfilling their own needs. And so as people pull away from me or don't contact me or get into silly games of who's done this first, and they will not hear from me. I will not enter into a game. Every interaction, every relationship is a contract. It's a choice. It goes back to that choice of what we choose to invest in, what we choose to give our time to, what we choose to put our focus towards. And right now our focus is best placed on our own highest self, guidance from the Most High, our personal missions, how we can support ourselves lovingly and those around us, and be in service and live in kindness and love, and follow the purpose and make the money in the ways that we need to do, because this is the physical realm and there's 21:12 on the clock. And so whatever people want to project, or in this lived experience of duality and the mirrored, 21:12 just on the clock before, of mirrored experiences and what people want to reflect back to you, and everybody's a version of ourselves, that's cool. But if we've moved past certain versions of ourselves, of codependent relationships, we don't need to interact with people that are reflecting that back to us. And it's with love and kindness, but alignment and vibration is only going to be more and more apparent to us as we all awaken. And so if things are hurting us, or things are playing on our minds in detrimental ways, I say this again, we don't have to do anything. It is our choice. We are allowed to accept that or refuse it. And I refuse anything that is not in my highest interest, and in the highest interest of those around me who I love. Now, I can't make choices for other people. I can only share and spread love. But if people choose to let my light irritate them, and for them not to contact me, or that's not about me. We have to know who we are. Heart-led living. Heart. The heart does not accept jealousy or pettiness or restriction, restraint, resentment, bitterness. They can be felt by us who are trying to anchor into the 5D, but with shamanic work, with various things, is that we see the darkness, we see things there. We need to help transmute, which a lot of us are helping a lot right now. But it just means that we put the distance between those who are at different paths of their journey and honouring different parts of themselves, and not negative, positive, just as long as we are true to ourselves and listening to our own self, because we cannot get lost in relationships. It's really important that we know what is for our heart. Otherwise, we only come to things 5 years down the line, or whatever that means now in time, because it's just one big continuum in my brain at the moment, and what I'm trying to anchor in all. And then things crash and burn. And so right now, while we have conscious awareness and the support of the collective ascension and the amazing light that's coming through, and the ancestors that are cheering us on, isn't it best that we make choices for our highest good? And discipline and consistency is key. And again, I say, we are human, can or will do silly, stupid things and might repeat cycles. But if we do adopt new cycles at the minute, which I have come into one particular thing, I would like to honour that for as much as I can, for as long as I can, until either the spiral path goes around again, or a higher self will guide me to another golden nugget, another way to keep that momentum going out of any karmic loops or patterning. So I'd love to wish everybody a beautiful day. April does feel like an incubator or an accelerator for many who I've been speaking to, and I think May will lay the foundations for incredible things ahead, should we choose it. Integrating the light and the dark, and just focusing on our own selves, and fasting is a very important part of that at the minute, because I think it's a shame that people mistake fasting for it being an aesthetic physical thing, whereas actually when you fast it affects your spiritual field and affects demons and spirits that are not good for us or to have in our energy. And so these practices of discipline can benefit our third eye and our vision and the choices that we need to make right now. And so that was a bit of a long one, a bit of a ramble. I've only just woke up, so I don't really know what I've just said, but I trust it made sense. And the ascension symptoms are affecting us a lot. They want me to say 747 on the actual clock, affecting us all in very different ways, and we're feeling that physically quite a lot. And so the sensitive souls, please ground, please remember the heart space, remember why we do this, remember love, not comparison, not jealousy, not what she's done for me or what he hasn't done for me. It doesn't matter. No one else's journey is important to us. We can respect and support and love others, but we are the only ones that are going to get us to where we need to go in support of the healing of the nations right now. So bless up.